Hi, I'm here with DRAY. He's an artist. He was one of the pioneering artists of First Friday. He's been there since the beginning. And we're going to look at his art and talk about it and hear some stories. So, how did you get into being an artist?
Get into being an artist.
Become an artist, I guess.
That's still like the same question.
Yeah.
Born an artist. What made me pursue what I love to do? I didn't like anything else. This was my passion. It's like I really love doing this, and I saw at some point it's like, wow, people actually can make a living doing this, and I said, okay, I'm going to pursue it.
So, the Buddha series.
The Buddha series. It started. It was inspired from a trip I took to Sri Lanka in 2006. I was so inspired by all the giant Buddhist statues and images that I would see all around the country, and evidently that stayed with me. So, come 2014. I decided I was going to just do a series based on these images I saw there, and I called it the Year of the Buddha. And this is one of the images from that. During that year's time, I painted at least 75 paintings of Buddha, and it taught me so many things. It taught me discipline to stay with one subject, and which is really cool now because it keeps me. Now, with the art I do now, I'm able to stick with one style for a certain amount of time. Prior to this, I was kind of all over the place. And it also taught me, since I was just doing this one image of Buddha, how to push myself creatively. Because it's just the same image, but after a while, if you're a creative person, and especially not used to sticking with one style, you get bored easy. So it taught me how to discipline myself and keep a certain style and keep it creative and interesting for me to pursue it and still be happy with being creative.
Wait, sorry. So you formed an art collective?
Art collective. It was called Five Finger Miscount, and basically, we brought in a lot of artists that weren't getting shows or exhibits at regular galleries, even though the talent was there, but it wasn't understood because it was quote unquote street art, and a lot of these.
So it's like graffiti and tagging.
Graffiti, tagging, and all that, but with artistic elements. And a lot of these artists didn't realize that they can have an outlet for this. They could actually show their art, and people will buy it and and appreciate it a certain way. So,
And you're working on a documentary here about sort of the street art
documentary
of Las Vegas.
About the birth of the Las Vegas art scene and how it was influenced by graffiti culture. I'm sorry. Working on a documentary about the birth of the art scene here and how it was influenced by hip hop culture. But graffiti just happens to be one
Part
of
of
the elements of hip hop. I mean, you have MCing, you have DJing, you have graffiti, and there's another element. I forget it right
Dance.
now. And b-boying, and dance, So a lot of that played a major part in Vegas, and people don't really realize it. I mean, look at the Jabberwockies. Those are basically b-boys. It's a hip hop element. All the graffiti murals you see downtown now that everybody love, that's a hip hop element. So the documentary is just about how that actually influenced a lot of what we see now in this arts district we call an art scene.
Can you talk about this style that you have? You've been working on here.
Well, this came from mistakes, basically. I'm not afraid to to make mistakes, because what happens is I usually learn from those. Maybe sometimes it'll mess up what I'm about to do, but it'll turn into this whole other thing. And I think a lot of artists go through a fear at some point. There's this line where you're like, oh, I don't want to go further than that because I may mess it up, or this may happen or whatever. But what I've learned from crossing that fear factor, you discover something, and the paint does something it wouldn't have normally done if you didn't cross that border. And next thing you know, you're like, oh wow, look at that. And
I really like
this is a
the
result.
design, the patterns there. Is that influenced by anything? Or
That's
just
influenced
comes
by
from
graffiti, mistakes, just not having any rules, basically.
turn your mistakes into art.